Fuck, I forgot to open CapCut. I edit while recording. Um, I was starting to read this a little bit, but before we get into it, I was starting to read this, and I feel like I am going to accidentally read Gran Torino lines, like, very aggressively. This is just me noticing that every time I try to read this line, I sound very aggressive. So, pardon that. Anyway, this is chapter 15 of Traffic Light Trio. Before me was Sunny, and after me is Roy. I hope you all are ready, because I'm ready to get this shit show on the road. Everything should be in the description if I don't forget. If I do, yell at me. If the shit's too quiet, yell at me. Please, because I genuinely can't tell. Headphones are too good to tell. Anyway, let's get on to the story now. Off the floor, boy. Izuku groaned and picked himself up. He remembered what it felt like to push himself cleaning the beach, and wondered if this was better or worse. Probably better, since it was actually fighting and combat. He was being taught instead of just hauling broken machinery. But his body was sore enough that it was screaming this was worse. Gran Torino was a good mentor, in Izuku's opinion. Sure, he saw why All Might was scared of him, but he was actually getting taught. He had gotten a little spooked when he thought the old man was dead, but weeks of pranks from Iji and Denki and Mina made him smell the ketchup and sausages soon enough. And then he just laughed and helped the man clean up. After pretending to have amnesia, yeah, another staple of pranks, honestly, Gran Torino gave him a grunt of approval. And Toshinori taught you this, going green? Izuku blushed and shook his head. No, he explained. He had been inspired looking at his friend's quirks, regulating power from Denki and distributing it from A. Gran Torino had laughed. Of course that fool doesn't know the first thing about teaching. Izuku hated to say anything bad about his mentor, but yeah, he had to admit, the number one hero was not the greatest at teaching. Sure, he had his moments, but it was clear the man was not used to dealing with children and teenagers beyond giving them encouraging words. He had said it before and he'll say it again. All Might did nothing to teach him how to use One for All. Clench your butt cheeks and yell smash is not a helpful tip. So Gran Torino had him learning maneuverability and combat in the air. He made it up to 6% consistently, and he could push 7% if he really needed to, but not for long. 6% was consistently on now, and he barely had to think about keeping it up. By the end of the second day, he could push 9% for about 10 minutes before his bones started creaking. Gran Torino had the quirk Air Jet and let him speed around by expelling air through holes in his feet. So Izuku got a good taste of how to use his speed to his advantage. He also got a good taste of the floor and the bottom of Gran's boot. Get up, boy! We still have work to do before dinner. If you're good, I'll take you on patrol. Izuku perked up, jumping up with an energy he hadn't had a moment ago. Really? A patrol? Gran snorted. Wouldn't do to have you get used to fighting me. But you still need to land a hit on me before I even think about it, brat. Hope you're ready. In the middle of his last sentence, he leapt forward, but Izuku was long since used to it and dove out of the way, coming back up with a roll and a grin. I'll get you this time, Gran. Counting on it. He pushed 8% to grab the old man's foot as he kicked past, but despite it landing, Gran was going too fast, and he slipped out again, leaving Izuku with the boot equivalent of rope burn. He shook his hand with a frown, grateful for the gloves that protected him from majority of his high-speed slip-up, and racked his brain. Gran was fast, exceptionally so, to the point that Izuku might been able to match his speed at 10 or 11%. But he wasn't there yet, so no dice there. The area was small, but That gave Gran more advantage, since he was used to ricocheting around small spaces and turning on a dime. Izuku, on the other hand, had not yet mastered the art of slowing down on the turn and accelerating on the roundabout yet. It was a concept he acquired to cars and driving. He didn't know how to do that, so it wasn't super helpful. Looking at physics, the only way to land a hit on Gran Torino would be to map his path, which Izuku had done since day one, and then move with him, so the speed difference wouldn't be as great, and he could make a successful grab and tackle. Wait for it. Wait for it. There. He lunged, wrapping his arms around the small old man and falling to the floor with a thud. Does that count as landing a hit? He got kicked in the face. It does. Now let's eat. Oh joy. Taiyaki for dinner again. Izuku really had to introduce Gran to frozen dinners. The train shook and the emergency lights flashed on. Attention, all passengers. We have encountered an obstacle on the tracks. Please remain calm. We are looking to resolve the issue. The front part of the carriage was torn to shreds as a hero got thrown in, quickly followed by a hulking beast that had Izuku's heart sinking. Gran, he yelled, that's a Nomu. Genetically modified, has multiple quirks. I've fought one before. Gran grunted. Evacuate the citizens. I'll handle this. Before Izuku could protest, Gran was gone, hurtling out the train after the screeching Nomu, and Izuku gulped and turned to the frightened civilians, grateful he was already wearing his hero costume. I'm going to evacuate you guys, but I need full cooperation. Has anyone called the first responders? One of the civilians held up their phone, where they were already speaking rapidly, and Izuku nodded. I'm Green Lightning, and I'm not going to stop till you're all safe, okay? He peeked at the jagged hole in the train as the hero groaned. There was a roof within easy jumping distance. Okay, I'll be taking you guys two at a time. Kid, one woman said, you think you can carry two people at a time? Izuku shrugged. I could probably carry 5 to 6, but my arms aren't big enough, and it's safer to make sure I have a good grip. He hefted the delirious hero out from under the rubble, not even bowing under the weight. I could take one more. Is anyone in active danger? A pregnant woman came forward. I don't want to be any trouble. He smiled. It's all right, ma'am. No trouble at all. Let's get you to safety. He curled an arm around her carefully and lit up to 6% before leaping out of the train, trying to keep the ride as smooth as possible. He gently set her down and carefully leaned the hero up against the wall. I'll be right back. He leapt back, feeling the train rock slightly under the force of his landing, and he winced. Sorry about that. Who's next? In under a minute, his car was evacuated, and the hero was coming back to his senses. I have to go find my mentor, Zuko muttered. Can you stay here with the civilians until help arrives? He nodded. You could count on it, Greenlight. You said it was? Green lightning, but yeah. Thanks! He waved to them as he leapt across buildings, desperate to find Gran Torino to help where he could. Turbo! Turbo! Where are you? Izuku slid to a halt as Manuel ran around, calling for someone. Wait a minute. Wasn't Turbo one of the names Bakugo had suggested for Ida? And wasn't Ida supposed to be in Hosu, the city they were currently in? Oh no. He pushed himself to 8%, running and jumping like his life depended on it. Brat, why are you not on the train? No time, he called back to Gran. I think my classmate is looking for the hero killer. And I already evacuated everyone. Wait. Don't go after the hero killer, you snot-nosed idiot. Zuko sent an apologetic smile back to the man, still dealing with the Nomu, and kept going. And this is where you die. He skidded and looked over the edge of the roof to see a glint of a silver armor and a steel sword. Shit. He leapt down directly on Stain, kicking the sword and the man in the face as he did. Midoriya? Green lightning. We're on duty, Turbo. What are you doing here? This is my fight. Izuku grimaced as Stain righted himself. Your fight, Turbo? You sought out the hero killer and were about to die. This stopped being your fight about 10 minutes ago. If it was ever your fight in the first place. Stain worked his jaw and spat. You, he murmured, are the green kid. Yeah, that's me. Now back off. I don't technically have permission to fight you, but if you go after Turbo again, Stain chuckled, voice raspy and harsh. You would break the law to save your friend? Midoriya, please, this is none of your business. Meddling where they aren't wanted, Izuku snapped, is the essence of being a hero, Ida. He slipped his phone out of one of his pockets and carefully remembered the layout of his screen, sent out to hopefully all of his contacts. Now all he needed to do was wait and hope Gran would get the message and understand what it meant. Interesting, Stain hissed. You have good friends, Ingenium Jr. You didn't even try to save Native, but here's your friend, here to rescue you from your own stupidity. Izuku flinched. Native? He glanced to the slumped form further down the alley he had assumed was a pile of trash and winced. Was he dead or just paralyzed like Ida? I have no qualms with you, Stain rasped. So if you leave now, I will not kill you. Your fallen friend, however, has to die. Zuko grinned, but it was a half snarl. Then I have qualms with you. Excellent, Stain crowed. Excellent. Finally a true hero. You're a worthy opponent, Green Lightning. Oh joy. Just what he had always wanted. Green Lightning, please do not put yourself at risk for me. He grit his teeth. Then get up and fight your own battles. But I'm not leaving you or Native in the hands of a serial killer. Be useful or shut up. Ida swallowed. His quirk. He paralyzes you after he cuts you. Thanks. Dodge the blades, then. He lunged to the side, barely avoiding getting sliced open by the jagged blade, praying desperately that someone who had gotten his message was on the way. Mostly Gran. Gran could probably run circles around this guy. The sword flashed down, and Izuku slid out of the way, right into the dagger Stain had drawn. He choked as it slid into his arm. It nicked his abdomen, but the blade was short enough that his arm stopped most of it. His breath grew short. He watched in morbid fascination as red welled up around the exit point and down the tip of the blade, the deep crimson reflecting in the light. He knew in a moment the pain would catch up with him, since it had somehow managed to slide between the bones in his forearm, which could not be good for him. But if he thought it had hurt to get stabbed, the removal of the knife was far worse. It burned, and he could feel it tearing through his muscles. The blade had jagged teeth on it and caught on things and made his breath hitch. He could feel the heat leaving his arm as blood dripped from it, and his own life forces glinted in the light on the blade. He stumbled back as Stain's long tongue glided over the bloodied blade, and Izuku felt his body go rigid, the outpour of blood slowing to a crawl as his body came to a stop, reduced to existential functions. It's the ingestion, he breathed, mentally cursing himself for thinking about the quirk in this instant. But on the other hand, it was the only thing keeping him from screaming. Clever, clever little hero. Stain almost purred, and if Izuku could move, he was certain he would be throwing up. Just like Shigaraki said. Izuku felt the blood drain from his face. That couldn't be healthy. He didn't have a lot of that to spare. Shigaraki had talked to Stain, and about him, honestly, no thanks. Back away from the brat! A yellow blur came and slammed into the hero killer's face, sending him sprawling. Grant! Zuko cried out, feeling like he could cry. His quirk paralyzes you if he ingests your blood, and you just had to get yourself stabbed. I taught you better than that. Stain and Gran Torino began a careful and fast dance of blades and wind. Airjet keeping Gran out of the reach while letting him get in close for a kick. Izuku could see Stain getting more erratic and growly. He was about to pull the same trick he had on Izuku, and he cried out, but a flash of ice sent the serial killer jumping back. Midoriya, you should be more specific in your messages. Izuku could have cried in relief. Todoroki, can you ice over my arm? I'm losing a lot of blood. The boy looked alarmed, but quickly rushed over completely. Boy, Ran yelled, you were injured and you didn't tell me? You were a little busy, Zuko called back, helping me not get stabbed again. Zuko winced as the cold took over, but smiled gratefully at Todoroki. There should be a puddle of blood below my arm. He paralyzes you by ingesting your blood, and would rather not give him any help. Todoroki nodded and looked down before blinking and paling. Midoriya, I'm fine. Help Gran. Zuko gave him a reassuring smile, completely not looking at the large puddle. Sure, the blood had dripped slowly, but it was a pretty nasty cut, and Stain had damaged it more on his exit. Todoroki hesitated a bit more, but nodded. Are you Gran? Gran Torino! I've got this, kid. Get the paralyzed people out. Todoroki immediately hooked his arm under Ida's and started dragging the boy out of the alley, completely ignoring his protests. Eye power kick from Gran and Izuku stumbling back. Wait, stumbling? Izuku blinked and stood up straighter. It wears off. I don't know why, but I'm good to move. Then leave. Gran, he yelled. I'm not leaving you to fight a serial killer. I'm your mentor. Listen to me. Give me permission to fight. Oh, hell no. Get that hero out of here. Gran cursed and fell on the ground, holding his shoulder. Damn it. Zuko ran up to him, dragging him away. He fought for a moment before Stain's obscenely long tongue licked his sword, rendering him paralyzed. Can I have permission to fight now? Gran cursed. I, Gran Torino, give Green Lightning permission to fight this god with his goddamn quirk. Don't die, brat. Zuko grinned. No problem. With an ice armed and eyes alert, he ramped it up to 10%, hissing a bit as he felt the strain. Since it wore off on me, it might wear off on you. It's not blood ingested. It's not the site of the wound. Blood type? Zane chuckled darkly. It will not help you, clever hero. Sir, Todoroki ran up. Permission to fight? You seemed fine fighting without it before. But sure, let all the kids fight. Todoroki nodded and ran up beside Asuku. What's the plan? Honestly, stall for time until more pros get here. He nodded. Very well. Speed or strength? Zuko blinked. Speed. Between the two of us, we should be fast enough. He chose not to mention how lightheaded he was feeling. Next few minutes passed in a blur of green light, ice, and flashes of red. Todoroki was also using his fire, something that lifted Izuku's mood, and soon enough, Stain was struggling up to his neck in ice. Izuku wasted no time in punching him in the throat, and then to the head at 3%, one for all, knocking him out cold. Izuku flopped to the ground, feeling the ice on his arm melting. He had no doubt that if he checked it, it would be running red as well. Great, Gran grumbled. Now we get you idiots into an ambulance. That sounded good to Izuku, honestly. He stumbled to his feet, ignoring the way the world spun, and slowly dragged himself out of the alleyway where sidekicks and heroes were starting to gather, looking over the paralyzed folks and working on apprehending the hero killer from the ice he was still knocked out cold in. Puns. Izuku was very tired. Was it that he needed sleep? Or was he missing a lot of blood? There were shouts of alarm that made him blink, and suddenly everyone looked much smaller. Sounds drowned out so you could hear ragged breathing and leathery flap of wings. Hosu was on fire, he could see, with people panicking and heroes running around like little ants, trying to get them all put out. His arm hurt again, so did his sides. His vision blurred as a water tower came into view and he passed out. Sleeping sounded like a good idea. Hi there. I'm slightly dying, as you could tell. So, um, this took maybe an hour to record, way longer than I expected. But fuck it, we do this shit in one take, not one take. You know what I mean. I would like to apologize for the fucking stutter that is throughout the entire video, even my intro. I have no idea where this stutter has come from, and it's really annoying me. Anyway, I hope you're ready for the next. Hope you have a nice day. Remember, the next person is Roy or Sparkles. I don't. We call him Roy, but Sparkles is the channel name. Oh my god. I feel like I've explained this before. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Bye, y'all.